Second. So how's
You're
it going
live.
for Comic Chat Army? We're here today with Malcolm Wong, the writer, creator, and producer of Dog Eaters. How you doing, Malcolm?
Good, good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. So tell us the story behind Dog Eaters.
Well, this was this is a story that I started thinking about back when Paris Hilton was was like having sex tapes and stuff like that. It was just like the feeling I got was, the forever wars. We were in Iraq, we were in Afghanistan, and just like it felt like things were going nuts. And so basically I was just really sick of this, and writing and art is an expression of, you're mediating feelings, you're mediating things from the universe as well. It's and basically what I came up with was mankind failed to transcend the petroleum age. 175 years after the die-off, civilization consists of scattered nomadic tribes, isolated casino cities, and hordes of predatory bandits. So basically, based on that, and set in the American Southwest. So it was kind of a Mad Max thing before the new one.
I'm going to show them a couple of the covers. How many different publishers have you shopped this around to?
Well, the thing is that it was originally written as a screenplay, and it won 3 awards at the Screenwriting Expo in LA. And one of the awards was to have it adapted into comic books, and then compiled into a graphic novel. And this was the Dable brothers. I'm not sure if that name resonates with anybody, because that's the 2000s. They were a very prominent indie publisher that came about because they did a graphic novel of George R.R. Martin's, a prequel to Game of Thrones, which did really well. And they were able to get, based on that, they were able to get a bunch of, fantasy artists and fantasy authors, like Orson Scott Card, and, these kind of really kind of prominent at the time authors and artists. And so they were part of this screenplay contest, and they gave out this award, which they would adapt my screenplay into a graphic novel. And what happened was the Dable brothers, they got me an artist. They hooked me up with an artist, one of the younger brother, a Chilean, South American. And we started working, and after about 10 pages or so, I said, hey, I've been hearing, back then it was forums. It wasn't social media, it was forums. So a lot of this stuff was on forums. And I was getting, the scuttlebutt that, hey, these guys are not paying. So I said to the artist, Guillermo Angel, I told him, hey, invoice, see what happens. So he invoiced, nothing happened. So they weren't paying him, but I was determined to see this through. And so I told Les Dable of the Dable brothers, these guys are very charismatic, Christian energy, if you know what I'm saying, kind of like a Joel Osteen, very charismatic, really, and you believe them, but they weren't paying people. So I said to Les, look, I'm going to take over the production. I'm going to retain the rights, because creator owned, keep it creator owned. And we just powered through it. They published 2 floppies, 2 singles. And then, they kind of like went into a kind of going from one publisher. They had licensed products, basically, is what they were doing. And they went into to different publishers. I mean, at one point they were part of Marvel, it was like, wow, Marvel, this kind of thing. But it never was part, because I'm creator owned, it was never really part of that. And then they eventually went bankrupt, And then I finished the book. The art was complete, full color, 200 pages. And the younger brother started an imprint called Sea Lion Books, and that actually went out as a graphic novel. But what happened was there was a storm, maybe, in Georgia, and we printed a bunch of books and they were ruined by the water. Could have been insurance fraud, who knows? You know what I'm saying? And so after that, I did it myself. So I did this cover.
Yes. Love
and
it.
and then we did digital with Media 1111 with Manoj Rao in LA, and then Antarctic Press, which you have the floppies of, and that was pre-pandemic, and that was okay deal. They did them all. I mean, they printed them all, so that came out, but it was just pre-pandemic. And then that was through Anthony Zakari, who does work for Dark Horse and things like that. He's a writer, and he kind of stalked me and said, I want to be part of this. And just as we were about to do signings and this kind of thing, do a little bit of events, and then the pandemic hit, and it was like he had scheduled it and everything, and it was like, oh, we got to cancel, and then after that, Lance Lucero, who hooked me up through a screenwriter in LA, introduced me to ASAP and Any One World, and letter N, letter E, number one world. And that's where it's available now as a graphic novel, and will be available as digital. And I have a little bit of merch too, as well, t-shirts with the logo and stuff. I can show you that if you like.
Yeah. I only have 1 through 5 here in front of me. Do you
really?
have a favorite page or panel from any one of these books?
Yeah,
What's your favorite page? I'm gonna try to show them.
Well, the graphic novel has more stuff than
Ooh. And the graphic novel is available now?
Yes.
Worldwide distribution?
Yeah, there's a hard copy, and there should be a digital soon. I mean, Guille did some great art.
Yes. That's this one, yeah. I was just flipping through the art, and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
He did some amazing. And the thing about South American artists is that they're kind of a hybrid between Japanese and American. So you got this anime manga kind of thing going on with the Marvel thing and the DC thing. So it's an interesting mix, and there's a lot of good South American artists. Brazil, Chile, Argentina. They're really good. And if you are a creator, that it's a good place to look for art. But when you're giving them the script, you have to be very precise and don't use analogies and metaphors and things like that. And these kind of like phrases that mean something to Americans, but it's kind of like if you take it literally, it's like, what the heck?
Yeah.
It's like, so, but I mean, that's about communication, and that's one thing that's really interesting about working internationally is being able to communicate clearly. It's so important for everything, relationships, everything. And of course, when you're trying to express yourself in art, it's that's what it is. It's communication.
You're in where are you at right now? Is it Hong Kong or
Tokyo? Yeah.
So in Tokyo, do y'all have like Comic-Cons?
We have cons, but they're not like American ones with American media. It's they have anime, manga, And it's some pretty crazy shit, man. It's crazy. It's X-rated, some of the stuff, and
Wow.
it's huge too. It's like 2 days, maybe 2 days, and the lineup. It's huge, and there's it's creators too. It's like all small artists, creators, tons of artists too in Japan, and some of it is like really radical. Everything. It's got everything.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah. So, instead of comic shops, y'all have like anime shops. But do they sell like normal comic books like this in there?
American? No, not American. It's all Japanese. And bookstores. There used to be tons of bookstores. Like when I got to Japan in the 80s, 90s, up until everything went digital. You would, on the trains, you would see people, these thick Jump and these thick comic books. I mean, it's manga, but it's it's basically a comic book. Thick people. The men are all reading them in newspapers. Now it's all on the phone, and if you look over, they're doing it on the phone. They're reading on the phone. So I mean, things have changed so much since I started writing Dog Eaters. And it's like, well, I finished, finished the screenplay. It won the awards. That's 2000. We're talking 2007. The book was finished maybe 2009 or something, maybe something like that. So it's just been a very long thing, but it's still relevant in the sense that as conditions in the world, and because we're American, we notice it really in the United States, where things just seem to be deteriorating on one hand, but on the same, on the same news, you'll see news of like a school shooting and, this random violence against, whoever. You'll see that, they'll be showing cleavage of some, whoever,
Right.
Kardashian or somebody, and it's just such a jarring kind of juxtaposition to see this kind of like weird, I wouldn't call it normal necessarily, but it's very titillating and very, weird kind of aspirational stuff. I want my body to look like this, or I want a girlfriend like this, or a boyfriend like this, and then there's this awful stuff happening on right next to it. It's just weird. So that's what Dog Eaters is about, is what happens 175 years after this civilization crumbles. So basically, it's coming back. A lot of the apocalyptic stories is like, it's happening now, here's it's blowing up, it's, here comes the icebergs, it's global cooling, warming, whatever. But this is after it. This is 175 years after it. And so the survivors are, they're, those are the roaches who are the survivors from maximum security prisons. Basically, they've almost started their own race, interbred. So
have you continued to write Dog Eaters? Like, is there a volume 2, 3, and onwards, or?
I have some ideas for that, but I have another story too. It's again a post-apocalyptic, not as far in the future. It's actually near future. This story is also an award-winning, it won first place at Story Pros. It's an award-winning screenplay. So I'm not writing. I started with writing short stories, novels. I was represented in New York and London. Never got published, but I made it as far as being represented. And then won some screenplay contests with more than one screenplay. But this recent one, which has been adapted, Lance Lucero, who also has released. You interviewed him a couple weeks ago for his book, Bob. But it's called. This is a story called Sacred Profanity. In a dystopian near future, a journalist investigating the assassination of a spiritual teacher must elude the death squads of both the UN peacekeepers and the divine faith to find and reveal the truth and witness the resurrection. So it's kind of like a hopeful story in a way, but it's set in a world where it's, you know, things have broken down. So you've got America has balkanized, basically what you're seeing now, but further along, so that it's kind of like, you know, you've got your East Coast, you've got your Midwest, you've got your West Coast, you've got your South. You know, these areas are been broken apart, and it's kind of like overseen by the United Nations. You know, which is kind of like multinational, whatever. You have the Russians, the Chinese, the, you know, all these different other countries kind of controlling. And New York has sold the naming rights to Dubai, so it's now called New Dubai. I mean, it started out as New Amsterdam, right?
Yeah.
Before it became New York.
When can we expect the book to be out?
Well, we're gonna have to get funding for the art. The script has been done, the story's been done, so we need funding. We need to get funding for the art. So hopefully, you know, if Doggers takes off, if Bob, the psychic detective, takes off, if ASAP takes off, if Any One World takes off, and you know, there's some kind of buzz, you know, possibly a crowdfunding situation, or an executive producer comes on, or, you know, you never know, right? The thing that's great about having art to a story is that it immediately becomes a storyboard for a movie. So it's much easier to imagine, for a producer to imagine this story. It's like, whoa, I can just, you know, see it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I have to visualize from words, but I can actually see the pictures. So, especially if it's good art.
I don't know. I think Dog Meters, just from looking at it, I haven't read it yet. We're going to read it here in this new year and review it. But I think it'd be cool as like a Netflix animated series that releases weekly.
Yeah, yeah. That would be cool. Animation is cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the art style that you picked and just everything about it. I don't know. It just seems like it would be better animated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta pick up the trade paperback because I've only got 1 through 5.
What happened to 6?
I don't think I got 6. I'll look.
Yeah. That probably happened just as things were starting to, you know, get weird, you know. And I think they had I don't know much about Antarctic Press. That was something that Anthony Zakari hooked me up with, and he knows those people. But you know, they could have come into some kind of financial difficulty. They paid me. They paid for every issue, so that's cool. I mean, it was like, hey, all right, you know, I got paid a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see. Book signings. Are you gonna do any book signings or?
Well, you know how hard it is to travel now, especially internationally. If to go to America, you need to have a test, a negative test, 24 hours before you enter.
Wow.
And for Japan to come in, I mean, they don't even let in people as tourists. You have to, or casual business. You have to have like a regular business visa, or be a resident visa, or a Japanese. Like a relative, if you're a relative, say a Japanese girl goes to America and marries an American, and then the mother is dying or sick or something, and they have to come back to Japan. The husband can't come.
Wow.
So that's how restrictive it is. And you know, you see how like I'm American, so that's cool. I can go to America anytime, but I have to get a test, you know, 24 hours, a negative test 24 hours before I go back. Whereas I have permanent residency in Japan, so I can come back, but I need 72 hours to get back. Plus, I have to quarantine 3 days in a hotel and then 11 days at my house. Quarantine. Can't leave.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. And if this is the new normal, you're going to have much less tourism, obviously, and the world depends so much on tourism now. It's nuts. Like, like Venice, like Hawaii, like Florida's good because Americans go there, right?
Yeah. Everybody comes down here for the winter.
Yeah. And
I'm curious, what time is it there? It's 7:30 p.m. here.
yeah, it's 9:26 a.m. on a Sunday. Yeah.
Nice. I've learned from doing these interviews. I've learned so much about time zones.
Yeah. Yeah. That if you have a smartphone, of course, you can do a world clock, and then you can figure out everything, right?
Yeah, I need to get one of those.
What? Yeah. Are you still on the flip phone?
No, I just don't have the world clock set up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I gotta set it up. What can we expect from you in the new year?
Well, I think that's when the big push will come for promotion has just started for Dog Eaters. So the new year will be getting into bookstores. I think there'll be a few more podcasts, more promotion. ASAP, Paul Hayden, it's new, very new. In fact, Dog Eaters and Bob are the first two creator-owned. So it's the Anyone World is the creator-owned section of his enterprise. And Paul is amazing. I mean, he's done everything through crowdfunding. And he's really hooked up with a charity for, I'm not sure exactly what the condition is, but his son has it. It's a nerve, a neural connection thing. So it's, I'm not sure exactly what it is.
I
But
remember he told us when we interviewed him.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure of the name either, but he told
It's a
us about it.
complicated scientific name.
Yeah. So, do you have any social medias you want people to go to that we can find out what you're doing next?
Well, I have a website that is kind of personal. It's also, dog eater stuff. It's dogeaters-manga.com. I can send you those links, and you can put it on the YouTube, and also some merch. Let me just share the screen here, if I might. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Here's the logo. What happened? Didn't go? Stop sharing.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's and this is my site, Ascent Tees. So I have some different designs, and there's I showed this one. So this one, the Angie collection, which is that image, and then there's also art.
I like it.
This. And this is some of the images that some of the nice frames.
I'm gonna have to pick up one of those posters to put behind us. Normally, we have something behind us, but you're the last interview of the year. Well, I guess you're the season finale. We saved the best for last, right?
Thank you. So, like this, I love this one for some reason. It's just, it's abstract and yet it's real. And
I think we got that cover.
yep, this is cover. Yeah, it's a cover of that. And each of those covers are in the graphic novel too. So,
all right. I guess, is there anything you want to say before we go?
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, man.
All right.
And
Well,
I tell you, man, 2020 and 2021, it's almost like what kind of years were they? You know, it's kind of like, so 2022, bring it on, baby. Let's see what happens. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you for taking the time to come talk with us.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you very much.